Shalom, my friends. I am Rabbi Simon, and I am about to teach you a prayer that is over 3,000 years old. It takes 15 seconds to say. It contains 9 words in Hebrew, and it has the power to fundamentally alter your relationship with money, with provision, with abundance, and with the force that governs all of it. But I need to warn you about something first. This prayer is not magic. It is not a spell. It is not a cheat code. It is not a shortcut that bypasses the laws of reality. If you treat it that way, you will say the words and nothing will happen. You will recite it for months and wonder why your bank account has not changed. You will grow frustrated and conclude that prayer does not work. And you will be wrong. Not because the prayer failed, because you misunderstood what prayer is. Prayer, in the authentic tradition, is not begging. It is not asking a distant God to drop money from the sky. Prayer, what the Kabbalists call tefillah, is an act of consciousness. It is a realignment of your inner vessel. It is the precise mechanism by which a human being shifts from the frequency of lack to the frequency of abundance, not by pretending, by perceiving. Tonight I will give you the prayer. I will break it apart word by word and show you the spiritual technology encoded inside it. I will explain why most people pray from a place that repels the very thing they are asking for. I will give you a 5-step protocol for using this prayer correctly. And I will share with you the stories of 3 people whose financial lives were transformed, not by magic, but by the shift in consciousness that this prayer creates. If you are ready to understand why the Creator made abundance infinite and why you have been experiencing it as scarce, stay with me. This teaching will change the way you think about money for the rest of your life. Let me ask you something. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you prayed for money? How many nights have you lain in bed, staring at the ceiling, whispering to God, "Please help me. I cannot keep going like this. The bills are piling up. The debt is growing. I do not know how I am going to make it through this month." How many times have you asked, begged, pleaded, and nothing changed? Let me ask you something deeper. When you pray for money, what is the feeling in your chest? Is it peace? Is it trust? Is it the quiet confidence of a person who knows they are connected to an infinite source? Or is it desperation? Is it anxiety? Is it the tight, constricted feeling of a person who is begging for something they do not believe they will receive? If you are honest, and most people are not honest about this, the feeling is almost always the second one. The tightness, the anxiety, the desperation, the silent, screaming plea, "Please God, I need this. I am drowning. Help me." And this is precisely why nothing changes, because the universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your consciousness. And when your consciousness is broadcasting lack, when every cell in your body is vibrating with the frequency of scarcity, it does not matter how beautiful your words are. You are a vessel that is sealed shut. And the Kabbalists teach, Ein or niknas lakli sagur. No light enters a closed vessel. If you have experienced this, praying for abundance while feeling scarcity, asking for provision while drowning in fear, write in the comments right now, "I have been praying from the wrong place." Write it as an act of recognition, because the moment you see the pattern is the moment you can begin to change it. Let me now give you the prayer, and then I will show you what is hidden inside it. The prayer is this: Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nihiyeh bidvaro. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, by whose word all things came to be. 9 words, 15 seconds, and inside those 9 words is a complete technology of consciousness, a spiritual mechanism that, when understood, reconfigures your relationship with abundance at the root. Let me take it apart. The first key, Baruch Atah Adonai, the shift of source. Baruch Atah Adonai, blessed are you, Lord. This is not flattery. This is not a compliment designed to put God in a generous mood. This is a declaration of source. When you say these words with understanding, you are making a fundamental shift in your consciousness. You are moving from, I am the source of my wealth, to, the Creator is the source of all wealth, and I am a vessel through which it flows. This shift is not a small thing. It is everything. When you believe you are the source, you carry the entire weight of your financial life on your own shoulders. Every setback is a personal failure. Every slow month is proof of your inadequacy. Every debt is evidence that you are not enough. The anxiety never ends, because you are trying to generate something infinite from something finite. Your own limited effort, your own limited intelligence, your own limited energy. Modern psychology has a name for this. They call it the scarcity mindset. When a person operates from scarcity, their cognitive bandwidth narrows. Studies from Princeton University have shown that financial stress alone can reduce a person's effective IQ by 13 points. 13 points. That is the difference between a clear decision and a catastrophic one. The brain, under the weight of scarcity, literally cannot think properly. It enters survival mode. It makes short-term decisions. It misses long-term opportunities. It panics. And this is exactly what happens when you believe you are the source. You are carrying a weight that was never designed for human shoulders. The weight of infinite provision placed on a finite being. Of course you are anxious. Of course you are afraid. Of course you are exhausted. But when you recognize the Creator as the source, when you truly understand what the Kabbalists call mashpia, the bestower, the weight lifts. Not because your circumstances change, because your relationship to your circumstances changes. You are no longer the generator, you are the conduit. You are no longer trying to create water, you are learning to open the pipe. The Zohar in Parashat Vayera teaches that all sustenance flows from a single source and that the vessels below determine how much of that sustenance they can receive. The source never diminishes. The source is infinite. The only variable is the vessel, its openness, its alignment, its capacity. Baruch Atah Adonai opens the vessel. It is the first key. The second key, Eloheinu melech haolam, the declaration of sovereignty. Eloheinu melech haolam, our God, King of the universe. This is not a title. This is a statement about who governs reality. When you say these words, you are declaring that the force behind creation is sovereign, not the economy, not the stock market, not your employer, not the interest rate, not the political climate. The Creator governs. The Creator provides. The Creator has the final word over every circumstance in your life. This is what the Torah calls bitachon, trust, not optimism, not positive thinking, not hoping for the best. Trust, the deep, unshakable knowing that the King of the universe has not abandoned you, has not forgotten you, has not left your provision to chance. In Psalms 37, King David writes, I was young, and now I am old, yet I have never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging bread. This is not a promise that life will be easy. This is a testimony that the source does not fail. The pipe does not run dry. What runs dry is our trust. What seals shut is our vessel. What blocks the flow is our consciousness of lack. There is a concept in behavioral psychology called locus of control. People with an external locus of control believe that life happens to them, that they are victims of circumstance, of the economy, of luck. People with an internal locus of control believe they can influence outcomes through their choices and actions. Research consistently shows that those with an internal locus of control earn more, save more, invest more wisely, and experience less financial stress. Bitachon is something beyond both. It is not external. You are not a victim. It is not merely internal. You are not the ultimate controller either. It is relational. You are connected to a sovereign source, and your role is not to control outcomes, but to maintain the connection, to keep the vessel open, to trust the flow. Eloheinu Melech. Ha'olam rebuilds the trust. It is the second key. The third key. Shehakol nihye bidvaro, the power of speech. Shehakol. Nihye bidvaro, by whose word all things came to be. This is the deepest layer, and it is the one most people miss entirely. In the book of Genesis, the Creator does not build the world with his hands. He does not sculpt it from clay. He speaks it into existence. Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or, Vayehi Or. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Creation is an act of speech. Reality is spoken into being. The ancient Kabbalistic text, Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, teaches that the entire universe was created through 22 Hebrew letters. Letters combined into words. Words became vessels for divine energy. Speech is not merely communication. Speech is creation. And you, the Torah teaches, are created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of the Creator, which means you, too, create with your words, not in the magical, superstitious sense, in the precise, lawful sense. Your words shape your consciousness. Your consciousness determines your perception. Your perception governs your actions, and your actions create your reality. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain does not distinguish clearly between a vividly spoken declaration and a lived experience. When you repeatedly declare, "I will never have enough," that is not merely a complaint. It is a programming instruction. Your reticular activating system, the filter in your brain that determines what you notice and what you ignore, begins filtering for evidence of scarcity. You literally stop seeing opportunities. You stop noticing open doors. Your own words have programmed your brain to confirm your poverty. And when a person says with understanding and alignment, "By his word all things came to be," they are doing something extraordinary. They are acknowledging that reality is responsive to speech, that the same creative force that spoke the universe into existence is available to them, that their words, when aligned with the source, carry creative power. Shehakol nihye bidvaro activates the creative power of your speech. It is the third key. 3 keys: source, sovereignty, speech, and together they unlock the vessel. This principle is not theoretical. It runs through the Torah like a river. Consider Abraham. In Genesis 12, God tells him, "Lech lecha, go forth from your land, from your birthplace, from your father's house, to the land that I will show you." Abraham does not know where he is going. He does not have a business plan. He does not have a financial safety net. But he goes. He acts from trust, not from certainty, from connection to the source, not from his own calculations. And what happens? God blesses him, not because Abraham was passive, because Abraham was aligned. He kept the vessel open. He acted from abundance, the abundance of trust, even when his circumstances offered no evidence of it. Consider Joseph, sold into slavery by his own brothers, thrown into an Egyptian prison on a false accusation. By every human measure, Joseph's financial prospects were zero, less than zero. He was a foreign slave in a dungeon. And yet Joseph rises. He becomes the economic architect of the most powerful empire on earth. How? The Torah tells us, "Vayehi Adonai et Yosef," and God was with Joseph. The source was flowing, and Joseph's vessel was open, even in prison, even in slavery. Even when every external circumstance screamed scarcity, Joseph's consciousness remained connected to the source. And consider the Israelites in the desert. For 40 years God provided manna, bread from heaven, every morning, exactly enough for one day, not more. You could not hoard it, you could not stockpile it. If you tried to save extra, it rotted by morning. Why? Because God was teaching an entire nation the deepest lesson about abundance. It is not about accumulation, it is about trust. It is about knowing that the source will provide again tomorrow and the day after and the day after that. The manna was not food. It was a 40-year course in bitachon. Every one of these stories teaches the same principle. Abundance is not something you chase. It is something you receive. When the vessel is open, when the consciousness is aligned, when the trust is real. Let me tell you about a man I will call Ezra. Ezra came to me 7 years ago. He was 51 years old, a devout man. Born in Jerusalem, raised in a family where prayer was as routine as breathing. He had moved to London in his 30s for work, an accountant, steady but unspectacular. Married to his wife Leah for 23 years. 3 children, the oldest in university, the youngest still in secondary school. Ezra prayed 3 times a day, every day, without exception. Shacharit in the morning, Mincha in the afternoon, Mariv in the evening. He gave charity. He observed Shabbat. He fasted on Yom Kippur. He did everything right, and he was drowning in debt. 72,000 pounds. Accumulated over 15 years of medical bills for his mother, educational expenses for his children, and the slow, invisible erosion of a modest income by the relentless machinery of modern life. He had not taken his family on a holiday in 6 years. Leah cut the children's hair herself. Ezra wore the same suit to synagogue every Shabbat for 4 years. He was not angry when he came to me. He was worse than angry. He was defeated. "Rabbi," he said, and his voice was flat, empty, like a man reading from a script he no longer believed in. "I have done everything. I have prayed. I have given. I have obeyed. For 30 years I have served God faithfully, and God has not provided. Either God is not listening, or God does not care, or perhaps," and here his voice cracked, "perhaps I am simply not worth providing for." That last sentence hit me like a stone, because that was the real wound, not the debt, not the financial pressure. The belief, the deep, poisonous, unspoken belief that he was not worthy of abundance, that God had looked at Ezra and found him insufficient. I asked him one question, "Ezra, when you pray for provision, what do you feel in your body?" He paused. He closed his eyes. His hands, resting on his knees, tightened into fists, and when he opened his eyes, they were wet. "Fear," he said. "I feel fear. Every time I pray for money, I feel fear. My chest tightens. My stomach drops. I feel like I am standing at the edge of a cliff, begging someone not to push me." "That is your answer," I said. "You have been praying the words of abundance from the consciousness of terror, and terror seals the vessel. It does not matter how perfect your Hebrew is. It does not matter how many times a day you pray. If the vessel is sealed by fear, nothing enters." He looked at me as though I had struck him. "But how can I not be afraid? I am in debt. My family depends on me. The bills arrive every month. Fear is the only rational response." I said, "Ezra, I am not asking you to pretend you are not in debt. I am not asking you to ignore reality. I am asking you to pray from a different place, not from where you are, from where you are connected to. You are not praying to a distant God who may or may not hear you. You are praying to the source of all existence, the force that spoke the universe into being, the King who has never, not once in the history of creation, failed to sustain what he created. Pray from that connection. not from your bank balance. I taught him the prayer. I taught him the 5-step protocol that I will teach you shortly, and I asked him to commit to 30 days. The first 2 weeks, nothing changed externally. His debt was the same, his income was the same, his circumstances were identical. But Ezra noticed something. The fear was loosening, not disappearing. Fear does not vanish overnight when you have been carrying it for 15 years, but loosening, like a fist slowly unclenching. He was sleeping better. He was making decisions more clearly. He was, for the first time in years, not operating from panic. In the 3rd week, Ezra did something he had never done before. There was a senior position at his firm that had been open for 2 months. Ezra had seen it. He had thought about it, and he had dismissed it immediately, because Ezra had spent 15 years telling himself he was not the kind of man who got promoted. He was the kind of man who barely survived. But now, with the fear loosening, with the vessel beginning to open, Ezra saw the position differently, not as something he deserved, not as something he was entitled to, but as something the source might be offering if only he would reach for it. He applied. He got the position, a 43% increase in salary. In the 2nd month, Ezra's brother-in-law mentioned a property investment that he had been involved in. Nothing exotic, a small commercial space being renovated. Ezra had heard about opportunities like this before and had always dismissed them. Too risky, too uncertain, too much fear. But now he listened. He researched, he asked questions, and he invested a modest amount, money he would have previously clutched with white knuckles. Within 8 months, the investment returned 31%. Within 2 years, Ezra was debt-free, not because the prayer magically deposited money into his account, because the prayer changed his consciousness, and his consciousness changed his perception, and his perception changed his actions, and his actions changed his reality. He came to see me on the day he made the last payment. He sat in the same chair. He was wearing a new suit, and he wept. "Rabbi," he said, "the money was always there. The opportunities were always there. I was the one who was not there. I was sealed shut by my own fear. The prayer did not bring me wealth. It opened me to receive what was already flowing." Before I continue, I want you to do something. If you recognize yourself in Ezra's story, if you have been praying from fear, asking from lack, approaching the Creator as a beggar instead of as a beloved child, go to the comments and write, "I will pray from connection, not from desperation." Write it as a vow. A shift in consciousness begins with a declaration, and a declaration spoken publicly carries a weight that a private thought cannot. This is not a comment. This is a covenant between you and your Creator. Now let me give you the practical framework. This is how you say this prayer so that it actually works, not as magic, as spiritual science, as a precise reconfiguration of your inner vessel. I call this the vessel protocol. Step 1. Prepare the vessel. 3 breaths of release. Before you say a single word, sit in stillness. Close your eyes and take 3 deliberate breaths. With the first breath, release fear. Breathe it out of your body. Feel the tightness in your chest dissolve. You are not generating your own provision. The source is generating it. You are releasing the illusion that it all depends on you alone. With the second breath, release scarcity. Let go of the mental inventory of what you do not have. The bills, the debts, the shortfalls. These are real, but they are not the whole picture. They are the view from inside a sealed vessel. You are about to open that vessel. With the third breath, receive trust. Breathe in the knowing that the Creator has never stopped giving, that the light is always pressing against the walls of your vessel, that the only thing between you and abundance is the quality of your consciousness. 3 breaths, 15 seconds, and you have already begun to shift. Step 2. Perceive the source. Before you speak the words, turn your inner attention to the source, not to your bank account, not to your employer, not to the economy, to the source. The Creator is not a distant entity sitting on a throne in the clouds. The Creator is the force that sustains every atom of reality at this very moment, the force that keeps your heart beating, the force that holds the planets in their orbits, the force that causes seeds to become trees and thoughts to become realities. This force is the source of all abundance, and it is closer to you than your own breath. Feel that closeness. Feel that connection. This is not imagination. This is recognition of what is already true. Step 3. Speak with intention. Now speak the prayer. Baruch Ata Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nihye bidvaro. Speak it slowly. Feel each word. With Baruch Ata Adonai, feel the shift of source. You are acknowledging where abundance comes from. With Eloheinu melech haolam, feel the trust. The King governs, not your circumstances. With Shehakol nihye bidvaro, feel the creative power of speech. Your words are shaping reality. Do not rush. Do not mumble. Do not recite mechanically. Each word is a key. Turn each one deliberately. Step 4. Declare, do not beg. After the prayer, make a declaration, not a request, not a plea, a declaration. I am connected to the source. I am provided for. Abundance flows to me because I am aligned with the force that creates it. I am a vessel, and my vessel is open. This is not pretending. This is not lying to yourself about your circumstances. This is choosing to define yourself by your connection to the source rather than by your current bank balance. The bank balance is a photograph of the past. Your connection to the source is the seed of the future. Step 5. Act from abundance. This is the step that separates those who transform from those who merely hope. After you pray, act. Make the call you have been afraid to make. Send the proposal you have been postponing for months. Apply for the position you told yourself you were not qualified for. Start the project that has been sitting in your mind like an unplanted seed. Take the step, but take it from a different place, not from desperation, not from, I have to do this or I will drown, from abundance, from, the source is flowing and I am positioning myself to receive. A person who acts from abundance makes different decisions than a person who acts from scarcity. They negotiate differently. They price their work differently. They communicate differently. They take risks differently. They show up differently. And the world, which is far more perceptive than we imagine, responds to them differently. The prayer opens the vessel. The action creates the channel. You need both. Vessel without action is passivity. Action without vessel is hustle. The combination is abundance. Now I must give you something that most teachers leave out. Because the abundance prayer is only half the mechanism, there is a second prayer that completes the circuit. Without it, the vessel leaks. Everything you receive drains away. That second prayer is gratitude. In Pirkei Avot, the Ethics of the Fathers, the Talmud asks, Aizehu Ashir, Hasameach B'chelko, who is wealthy? He who rejoices in his portion. This is not a platitude about contentment. This is a precise spiritual law. Gratitude creates capacity. Gratitude tells the source, I received, I acknowledged, I am ready for more. Think of it this way. If you give a gift to someone and they do not acknowledge it, they do not open it, they do not thank you, they do not even notice it, do you feel moved to give them another? No, not because you are petty, because the circuit is incomplete. A vessel that does not acknowledge what it receives is a vessel that cannot hold what it receives. The flow has nowhere to go. Neuroscience supports this. Dr. Robert Emmons at the University of California, Davis, conducted a decade of research on gratitude and found that people who practice daily gratitude experience measurably better financial decision-making, greater willingness to delay gratification, more generosity, and higher overall life satisfaction. Gratitude literally rewires the brain's reward circuitry. It moves the brain from a scarcity state, where every decision is reactive and fear-driven, to an abundance state, where decisions are proactive, strategic, and aligned with long-term provision. So here is the complete daily practice. Morning. Say the abundance prayer. Align with the source. Open the vessel. Declare your connection. Then act from that alignment. Evening. Say the gratitude prayer. Review your day. Find every moment of provision, no matter how small. The meal you ate, the roof over your head, the breath in your lungs, the unexpected kindness from a stranger, the small income, the door that opened even a crack. Acknowledge it, thank the source, seal the vessel, even on the hardest days, especially on the hardest days, because gratitude on a hard day is the most powerful kind. It is gratitude against the evidence, it is trust in the face of fear, and it tells the Creator, I see you, even in the darkness, even in the struggle. I see you providing, and I am grateful. Rabbi, this sounds like prosperity gospel. Are you saying God rewards the faithful with money? No, I am saying something far more precise. I am saying that the Creator's nature is to give, and the created being's nature is to receive, and when the vessel is aligned with the source, the flow operates naturally. This is not reward and punishment. This is cause and effect. Spiritual physics. A plant that turns toward sunlight is not being rewarded for good behavior. It is simply doing what plants are designed to do. A vessel that opens to the source is not being rewarded for righteousness. It is functioning as it was created to function. But what about righteous people who are poor? Righteousness and vessel alignment are not the same thing. A person can be deeply righteous and still carry a consciousness of scarcity. A person can be generous, devoted, and kind, and still believe at the deepest level that they do not deserve abundance. The Zohar teaches that some souls come into this world specifically to do their work through the vessel of material limitation, that their particular tikkun, their correction, operates through that experience. We cannot judge another person's journey. We can only open our own vessel. Can't I just say the prayer without all this protocol? Of course you can, and millions of people do, every day. They say beautiful words with empty consciousness and wonder why nothing changes. The words are the vehicle. The consciousness is the fuel. A car without fuel is just a sculpture. A prayer without consciousness is just noise. You can say the words, but if you want the prayer to work, you must become the prayer. You must embody the consciousness. You must align the vessel. There are no shortcuts in the laws of the Spirit, just as there are no shortcuts in the laws of nature. I am not going to ask you to believe me. I am going to ask you to test me for 30 days of your life. That is all. Here is the commitment. Day 1 through day 30. Morning, the vessel protocol, 5 to 10 minutes. Sit in stillness. 3 breaths of release, fear, scarcity, and then receive trust. Perceive the source. Speak the prayer with full intention. Make your declaration. Then go into your day and take one action from the consciousness of abundance. One step you have been too afraid to take. Evening. The gratitude seal, 5 minutes. Before sleep, review your day. Find 3 specific moments of provision. They do not need to be dramatic. The food on your table, the kindness of a colleague, an idea that came to you unexpectedly. Write them down. Thank the source. Seal the vessel. Weekly, the act of giving. Once a week, give something. The Torah calls this tzedakah, not charity, but justice. Righteousness, the act of returning to the flow what the flow has given you. Give money, give time, give help, give attention. Give from abundance, not from obligation. Because giving from abundance tells the source, the vessel is functioning. The flow is moving. I am not hoarding. I am not sealing. I am a conduit, and I am open. At the end of 30 days, look at your life. Not just your bank account. Your sleep, your decisions, your clarity, your courage, your relationship with fear. Something will have shifted. I cannot tell you exactly what, because every vessel is different, and the source fills each vessel according to its unique shape. But something will have shifted. In the comments write, I commit to 30 days. Write it now. Because a commitment spoken publicly is a vessel that has already begun to open. My friends, let me leave you with this. You were not created to be poor. You were not created to struggle in silence while the world passes you by. You were not created to beg. You were created to receive. You were created to be a vessel for the infinite abundance of the Creator, not merely financial abundance, but the abundance of purpose, of connection, of peace, of joy, of provision in every form. The source has never stopped flowing. Not for a single moment since the beginning of creation. It is flowing now as you hear these words. It is pressing against the walls of your vessel, waiting for you to open. Open. Release the fear. Release the scarcity. Release the belief that you are not enough, that you do not deserve, that the Creator has forgotten you. He has not forgotten you. He has never forgotten you. You are His creation, and He sustains what He creates, always, without exception, without interruption. May the One who spoke the world into being speak abundance into your life. May your vessel be open and your trust be strong. May you learn to pray not from fear, but from connection. May you act not from desperation, but from alignment. And may the words of the ancient prayer, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehakol nihiyeh bidvaro, become not just words on your lips, but the living reality of your days. May you know, in the deepest part of your being, that you are provided for, that you have always been provided for, and that you will always be provided for, because the source is infinite, and you, my friend, are the vessel. Open the vessel, and watch what the Creator pours in. Shalom.